I'm Calvin Austin III, wide receiver for the University of Memphis.
It's Anthony Sane for Sports 66 Mornings.
This is Rodney Williams, tight end for the Denver Broncos.
This is Tommy Hayes.
This is EJ Manuel, and you're listening to No Cap Sports.
With No Cap Sports.
And the No Cap Sports.
No Cap Sports, three of the hardest grinding brothers in the business.
Welcome back. Another episode of No Cap Sports coming to y'all live the day after Halloween, man. I'm Nick, got Josh here, and got TJ the Ogre down there as well. So, y'all, how was Halloween? Y'all did anything special?
Went to work, man. It was me and TJ were just talking about this. Like once you get outside of high school, once you get outside of a body of built-in friends, any school setting, it's definitely a different vibe for Halloween. Yeah. So like, yeah, y'all know I'm still getting my feet set and all that out here. So it was working. We came back and watched Ja get a win. That was because it would have been real scary if they had lost. That would have been the real trick of my Halloween. So nah, unfortunately, boring adulting on my side.
Jeez, same here, bro. I got treated to watch vintage Devontae Adams, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you for that.
That ended up being a crazy game. Like it was awful at first, and it just turned into that's Thursday night football for it. Like there's never been a Thursday night football game that's like two good halves of football. It's like one atrocious half and then like a classic at the end.
Now, I'm gonna tell y'all, man, like because I know TJ, y'all are football fanatics. You know me, I'm a hooper. So I'm dedicated. I'm just saying.
He hit a Euro step on a white man. Now he think he all that.
Ooh,
don't do that, Nick.
Like football, we dummy.
You on my side. You express that this is the best time. This is the best time of the year. I mean, I fell into that. Like I'm watching, Monday Night League pass shit over Monday Night Football, but to my point, last night was an intentional not watch. I watched 0 seconds of that game, and as a dedicated sports fan, as a fan of my team, we had to put our foot down at some point. I can't fire Willie Johnson. They already fired everybody. Robert Saleh, in my opinion, was not a bad coach, nor looks like the problem. So why continue to donate my hard-earned time to watching bullshit? So I put my foot down on the ground last night after we lost to the Waitrich. Like
hey, chill,
the season already.
I didn't give you shit for that. So you ain't even got to disrespect my team like that, bro.
I mean, point being, and I just had a hard line of demarcation in terms of my level of investment in this team. Not on my dedication of my time to this team. Trust me, I made the decision not to watch the game because why am I frustrating myself for what reason? But I couldn't help myself, so I'm definitely checking in whenever y'all say something. Definitely box score, watching things like that. Thank God I did not catch the Malachi Corley touchback because that's just so indicative of what's been going on. But no, man, I just had to let y'all watch. I watched 0 seconds of that game last night because I'm not dedicated any more time. My fandom, unfortunately, is too attached. But my eyes and my time to just football until they're dedicated to putting a product on the field that's worth watching. I just couldn't do it. Ja was on. It was Halloween. It's just we gotta fight back. You know what I'm saying? Like at least I have to as a Jets fan.
And speaking of dedicating time, bro. TJ sent a text message to the group chat yesterday, bro. I didn't even know that was his bed, bro. It was a pair of Adidas pants, a Shrek shirt, a Shrek hat, the one he has on now, and a bottle of Hennessy, bro. I thought it was one of the meme pics from Twitter, but TJ, tell me about your Halloween night, bro. What inspired that outfit, bro?
I'm kind of on the opposite of Josh. Like I didn't want to watch that game, but that was the spookiest thing I saw last night. Shout out to some bad weather kept me indoors. But Josh, I was thinking maybe if you don't watch, they'll perform. Like I think you might be putting too much pressure on them because they pretty much it might not look like it, but they were hooping most of that game, especially defensively. CJ Stroud was running for his life the whole night. They were making plays on both sides of the ball. Like I looked at them for a play. I was like, wait a second, they kind of have an elite player everywhere on offense. And then it's like a light bulb went off. You're like, oh my God, wait, why is this team record this bad? Like Garrett Wilson is a wide receiver 1. Devontae, wide receiver 1. Breece Hall really is like a top 4, 3, 4, 5 back, whatever you want to put him at. You got decent O-lineman. You got a phenomenal defense when they're, healthy. You've dealt with some injuries. So I looked at it, I was like, wait, this is crazy. Like, why is this team bad? And then they were like, "Wait, why are we bad?" And then they won.
I ain't gonna lie, it was good to see Hassan Reddick out there too last night. That was
We
another
got him.
treat, bro.
We got him for what? New season, 17 games. That season. We got him for what? 9 more games. Got hey, show up to work, buddy.
He
And
paying y'all.
at least for right now. Nah, you ain't lying. Well, I appreciate the kudos, Troy. I definitely lean into your second statement that you made about because it's occurred with Memphis basketball over this year already. Honestly, that my absence spurs some level of confidence or
Yeah.
inspired play. So it's an off repeated sports fan narrative. So I'm not too big onto like trying to be too superstitious. I'm 1,000 mile away, but it's just been too on the money this year. So I'm just yeah. Hey, we all know as football players like desperation is a thing that you can't track in the box where that's a very tangible thing in game. Obviously, with us like and even Roger said it last night. With 2-7, the season would have been gone. I'm like 3-6 ain't that good, but level we saw with both my teams last night with the Grizzlies and the Jets that just that level of desperation that both teams brought to the floor. Two teams that have been playing below their talent level, like maybe because TJ, what you've been saying, what you just said has been true all year. We have top 10 talent in the league, but
Literally all over the
No
team. Like
cap.
you just look at it, you're like, damn. You look at Pro Football Focus, you look at Pro Bowl voting accolades, you're like, damn, you have a number one corner, number one running back, two number one receivers.
all pro
You
D
still
tackle, like
I'm saying
come
you
on.
all pro D tackle, all pro linebackers, all pro safeties. Like if that team had on a different uniform, I'm sure we'd be talking about a team way differently because on paper they're probably more stacked. They're definitely more stacked than the team they played last night, and for once they played like it.
I was about to say, bro, Aaron Rodgers brought all his Green Bay buddies to New York. I swear to God, if it was a G on that helmet instead of Jets, this would probably be we really, like you said, we realistically be talking about Super Bowl, bro.
Yeah,
But it's just something about that gang green. It's just bad juju that come with it. I don't know how to
and we'd
explain it.
be we'd be reversing the record, so they'd be 7-3, three instead of 3-7. Minus Randall Cobb and the other crony. Like we haven't seen Alan Lazard in a few weeks, and maybe that's a good thing.
Better than don't give me we already don't give me my whole despair. But y'all right. We have there's a pathway there. We only play one more. We only play one team the rest of the way that's got a
Yeah,
plus 500 record. And I just think that we got all the talent and we've made it Rodgers as comfortable as he can freaking be. So we just had that desperation that we had that we got to come to the table with. All the schematics. We got a big plus with down and in and solid without hacking out,
Hackett, yeah.
but it's gonna come down to want to and motivation, which it's kind of interesting for the NFL because it's grown men playing fighting for feeding their families. But
right.
I think we saw that last night in the highlights that I allowed myself to watch it. Like this team simply put their foot in the line, put their foot down. Is like this season is not gonna go any further off the rail than it always has. So
And
let's
Rodgers
see.
got a little loose on that run. They called it back, but he
Hey,
he
no
was like
cap.
he put his foot in the ground. Literally, he was like, "All right, I'm not going for this. Y'all not gonna keep getting me sacked." He almost took that hell to the crib.
Hey, CJ Stroud got his ass sacked 8 times. It was just nasty football.
That's
But
just the ones he couldn't avoid. It would have been like if he wasn't mobile, it probably would have been like 20 sacks.
nah, facts, bro. Talking about this desperation some more, we've seen a recent trend of despair with some of these younger, rookie second year quarterbacks. Just this weekend, we saw Anthony Richardson take himself out the game because, quote,
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there that I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told saying I just needed a break right there.
so before we even talk about the quarterbacks, just as a football player, bruh, if you in that huddle, like TJ, you got to take a carry from him on the next play. Like once he comes back in, like does that change how you look at him as a player?
I would say that's a situation where it'll only change as far as you let it. I don't look at it like, he's playing poorly and we're gonna hold it against him. Things that divide locker rooms, people say things on social media, people go against coaches, they go after other players. This is kind of something that we haven't really seen before. If we're talking about him being tired, if this was any other player, we probably wouldn't be talking about it like it is. I can see this from both sides. Like he literally was throwing off 300-pound linemen. He's the entire offense. Most days, most nights, most plays. Like let's cut him a break. He is the entire offense. We have seen them run him into the dirt repeatedly. He comes back in from injury. They run him into the ground. His first 5 games, they quite literally ran him into the ground. I can't imagine being 240, 50 pounds. I run a 4.4. I can throw the ball 75 yards and I have a putrid offensive coordinator and they just make me run and throw all over the place. Hell, I would be tired too. So, yes, according to the standard of quarterback play and you quit on your team, yeah, it's something that we've never seen before, but players get tired. I think we need to come down off our high horse just a tad. Like, if I was being asked to do all of this shit while getting almost no help from players who make 20, $30 million a year, oh, but we've got a good old line and we've got Jonathan Taylor. Why the hell is the quarterback running the ball 20 times and throwing the ball 30 times? I'd be tired too. So I understand that it's not a good look, but you can't ask him to do these things with no help and be surprised that he's like, damn, I guess I can't throw and run the ball every play. Newsflash, he has oxygen in his lungs. You got to take a breath. Like it's
Bringing up this issue, seeing it, like you see ARs, like we obviously knew the book on him, coming out, like high, boomer bust guy, high upside, undeniable physical talent. But hey, he was only classman coming out of Florida. Like we knew this guy needed reps. We knew he needed time to develop on the field. So it's a multi-layer problem from my perspective. You're where we want to draft these guys like a AR, like a Jalen Milroe, like a Cam Newton, like insert physically gifted, dominant quarterback here. We want to draft these. We're drafting off of potential. Our teams are drafting off best case scenario. But a more likely than not, it seems like literally the best guy in the game right now. The best development strategy for a quarterback is not to get them on the field right away, which is just the way that the league has shifted nowadays. When it wasn't like this always, you have expectations that you draft a guy that's high and you have to throw him there immediately. So you have fan expectations first of all, which the court of public opinion is a tangible thing to be pressured. But if you look at it like I said, internal level, you have GMs, you have owners that don't have a timeline to develop a quarterback. They need Bryce Young to be good week one. They need Kenny Pickett to be good week one. We need insert quarterback Zach Wilson. We need him to be good week one. These teams are drafting these guys that need development into win now situations. And because of fan pressure and because, like I said, internal ownership does not have the leverage or the cachet with a lot of these teams outside of the Roonies. Name one embedded ownership or GM managerial group in the NFL. These guys are on just as short a leash as these quarterbacks. It's just like I said, a multi-layer problem where there's a lot of people to point the finger at, but I would, from my perspective, the system itself is the biggest thing. To where, like I said, you got your draft, you're putting guys in the worst possible situations, damaging their confidence, losing games in the progress in the process, and then you're stuck with this. You're stuck with the same problems where you're stuck with the problem going forward of upcoming NFL prospect sees that you have a quarterback development problem. So it's a kind of it's a self-repeating cycle in a way. And I think that Kansas City did it, but there's gonna have to be a team because we know there's all a copycat league. There's gonna have to be a team that maybe not if they individually themselves reset the way that we go about QB development. There's gonna have to be a successful case toward like a reevaluation of how young QBs come into the league and the expectation.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the system as well because we're talking about Anthony Richardson, but we've seen this kind of situation with Anthony Richardson being benched this upcoming week. Yet to be determined if it's disciplinary or what they're going to do going forward. But we've seen this similar situation of despair with these younger quarterbacks recently, like I said, with Bryce Young being benched this year for Andy Dalton, and with numerous other young quarterbacks, not even with their original teams. You look at what that 2021 class of Trey Lance, Mac Jones, all of those guys. I want to say Trevor Lawrence is the only one out of that class who's still with the team that drafted him. And talking about the system some more and how guys are getting rushed on the field, particularly with Anthony Richardson as we're talking about. He needs time. He needs reps. Coming into the season, this is a guy who had only started 17 total games since high school. At Florida, he only started 13. In the NFL last season, he only started 4 coming into this year. Obviously, we know he got injured, missed the rest of that season. So you got a guy who's only started 17 games, essentially one full season from the year he graduated high school. It takes time, like TJ said, to build up those lungs, build up that conditioning to be able to last 17 games, 60 minutes, or 70 plays, however you want to break it down. So I think we really need to take a second and talk about the system of quarterback development, because we're seeing a lot of young guys flame out. And obviously, over the recent years, a lot of guys got obsessed with that idea of building a team around a rookie scale quarterback. But that's hard to do. And we've seen Brady and we've seen other guys talk about it. Like those one hit wonders, or those situations where quarterbacks come out good out of the gate. There's a lot that goes on behind that. And I think a good example of that would be the Detroit Lions. Obviously, they didn't draft a rookie, but they added Jared Goff to a team that was already complete. And they made it more complete through the draft instead of going, we got this high draft pick. Let's go get the best quarterback. No, instead they went and got Penei Sewell. Instead, they went and got Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. So they built that team and then built the quarterback and then found the quarterback to fit the team. So I want to throw it to y'all and see, when it comes to quarterback development, like what is the right strategy to take? TJ, I know you were New Orleans fans and y'all done seen some dark days since Drew Brees left, so I'm gonna come to you first.
I think when it comes to QB development, I think you need to have a little bit of tunnel vision because it's a tendency when you see a guy like CJ Stroud, like now everybody's like, oh, we can do that. We can do that. We don't have to, so people are talking about gone are the days of the hard rebuild because the Texans were terrible the year before and then they won the playoff game. So now if I got a young quarterback, oh well, look at Jaden Daniels. Oh, look at CJ Stroud. Like I think that is kind of doing a little bit more harm than good in terms of narrative because now we're going to expect a guy to come in. That's why we're talking about Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young. They all come from the same QB class, but CJ Stroud is like a top tier respected quarterback. I think it's a lot of looking around, jumbotron watching, like, oh, well, they've got this. Okay, we talk about Bryce Young. What the hell have they put in place for Bryce Young to even be remotely decent? It doesn't
Adam
matter if
Thielen.
you right. Okay, so you go get Adam Thielen, who they cast away like nobody's business. Okay, so you look at him, you say, all right, I've got a quarterback. He had these guys at Alabama. I'm talking about a track team. You got a great running back. You got three receivers, right? What has Carolina put in place? I don't care if you want to get in the film session and say, "Oh, Bryce Young doesn't do this. Bryce Young doesn't set his feet. Bryce Young is." I'd be running for my life too if I've got three D linemen. I'd probably have terrible feet too if I knew that my receiver is going to be facing the other way when I'm throwing the ball this way. I'd have terrible footwork too if I'm pretty sure I'm about to get trampled 2 seconds after catching the ball. So you look at him and you say, well, Andy Dalton came in right away. Well, that was like a game and a half, and he probably looked worse than Bryce Young after a few plays. And I think with quarterback development, you have to have pieces in place. It's simple. People want to, make it like it's some type of scientific formula. You have to have blocking. You have to have a coach that is respectable. We forget that Carolina tossed the coach away after 9 games.
Facts. Frank Wright.
That was, we thought he was going to be the savior, and this old ass guy can't relate to this young quarterback who's in a terrible situation because he was coaching a team that was winning playoff games. When was that ever going to work? Okay, maybe Canales is a better fit, but he's a first time head coach and he thinks he has the gall to just throw a young quarterback away. What the hell have you won? So I think when it comes to development, you have to run your race. You will have Trey Lance's, you will have wild misses. You will have Jaden Daniels, you will have the safest, surest pick, Caleb Williams, Daniels that you'll ever see. Sometimes you have to sit them, sometimes you have to play them, but you have to, regardless of what you decide to do, the structure can't be poor. And then we're looking around like, damn, why can't we fix quarterbacks? You talked about the 2021 class. That list I gave, one of those podcasts we did, was like 15 top 10 quarterback picks. It's the same culprits every time. It's Denver, it's Carolina, it's New York. It's the same culprits every time. And they're going to look at the quarterback and be like, how the hell do we keep getting these guys when they're not realizing a lot of times it's them?
Facts. And I kind of want to build on one of your points as well when you mentioned Andy Dalton. Before I kick it to you, Josh, having an older veteran quarterback come in and have success in the offense should not be a damage to the reputation
Right.
of that young guy. Because kind of like we're talking about, those reps that matter. These older veteran guys have seen every situation, have worked with just about every player in the league at some point that they can relate to on that team. So making those single game performances an indictment on the young guy, I think further hurts their development. But that was all I had to say. So Josh.
Honing in on some of the things that you said. Um, the plan in terms of whether it's rebuild or like going forward to QB development plan or franchise priority. That's how I want to say it. Franchise next steps, things like that. It has it not you can't just like you say, you can't just throw it. We're gonna get a young quarterback and then fill out the roster. Your development needs to be intentional, like you said. Whether or not you need to bring somebody in that you have a Kingsbury, you have these these coordinators, these coaches that are dedicated quarterback gurus for right for wrong, and you like you said, run your race. I really like what you saying that. Um, but just the intentionality of the quarterback development. We look at Jay Daniels and we think, okay, this all happened out of nowhere. Terry McLaurin, been a top 10, top 15 guy, his whole career. A guy in Dan Quinn that likable, but more importantly, have been able to put a defense behind a young quarterback.
And
Kind
the
of
run
regurgitating
game.
exactly. I'm kind of regurgitating information that TJ said, but hey, we got awesome people. That's what you do. Having those pieces in place, having intentional blocks, for your young QB to build on. Allow the person on your team to reflect the structure of your locker room. We all play college football. We know more often than not, the quarterback is not the best player on offense or even on the team, and much not even on offense. So allow the culture of your team to reflect that. We want to talk about positive, we talk, correct developmental strategy. As great as Lamar has been, back-to-back MVP, the first thing I think of the Baltimore Ravens in terms of culture and identity is not Lamar Jackson. I think
John
about
Harbaugh.
defense, John Harbaugh, playoff success, but running the ball, being physical. If I don't think Baltimore would ever did this, but if the Baltimore, drafted Lamar, were super excited, were secretly would have traded up to 2 to get him, but they were stoked to get him at 31, and then threw him out there in a 5 wide offense, ran RPO reads, really limited his mobility. Like he would not be the Lamar Jackson that we see right now. So even outside of a lot of the things that TJ mentioned, having an intentional plan, having those building blocks, building around the strengths of your individual prospect. It may seem a little cheesy, but bringing that college OC in, if he's a respectable guy, getting to know the guy that you drafted, that you placed all this stoke in your franchise, getting to know the ins and outs of him. Obviously, the draft things like that, but you just have to be intentional with your quarterback development, with the quarterback that you have in the head development. And some of these fans got to realize, the rationality. We're just able to sit and have a conversation about this. Young quarterback development and winning games is not parallel.
Yeah.
So we want that. We want a situation where we're going to get the best quarterback possible to lead this franchise for the next 5 to 10 years. And fans have to realize we're baking a cake right now. We're waiting on something to develop, and that is going to mean temporary our team being worse on a week to week basis. So, like I said, outside of all the good stuff that TJ said, I think for me it would be personalizing that development of that quarterback. You're not don't draft the square peg and put it in a round hole, whether it's with your offense, with the team culture that you have, or with, again, another really good point, the personnel that you have around the coach. Like I said, throwing Bryce Young with a situation where a coach that has less experience as him, the second year quarterback, we can definitely look back on hindsight and be like, what are we doing here? So, like I said, there's going to be different talent levels, but all of these guys at the top of the draft have talent. There's a base level of talent. And it's the franchise's job or it's in their best interest to do everything possible to unlock that talent. And if you prioritize winning games over the quarterback development, a guy that you drafted so high, more likely than not, we're going to get the outcome that we've been seeing these past 2-3 years.
And I kind of want to add another prong to that list of things that are important for quarterback development, and that's consistency from an organizational standpoint. And what you said with Lamar really made me think of that, because you got to think John Harbaugh has been there, 10, 15 plus years. GM, same thing. You look at some other recent quarterback successes, Mahomes, Andy Reid's keeping his job in KC even before, you know what I'm saying? So I just think that consistency from an organizational standpoint is very important. You look at a lot of the failures or busts, as we call them, who have come up in recent conversations. You look at Daniel Jones, a guy who had what, two offensive coordinators over his first 3 years. Same with Bryce Young. He's in year two. He's had three OCs. Like it's hard to adjust to that on a year-to-year basis, especially being a young guy when you're supposed to be stacking blocks and not having to reset every year. So I think that consistency is another big prong that's important when it comes to quarterback development in the league.
Yeah, you drafting a guy that high, regardless of how the decision comes about. If there's internal disagreement, that guy is not a cog. That guy is the cog to be built
Right.
around, and you have to treat him as such. And I think we talk about an AR, talk about a Bryce Young. We even a Bryce Purdy to a certain extent, obviously with injuries. We're just the more and more around the league. We're wanting a plug and play. We have this great defense. We have this great star player on either side of the ball. And we can insert average quarterback play, stopgap quarterback play like a Dalton. And we have the expectation. Well, you don't know. That's just not a reasonable expectation realistically, looking back. But now for a quarterback that isn't a Jaden Daniels, I played 4 year college football, or Joe Burrow, I've had that level of experience. That's not a reasonable expectation to have. And then B, if that is what you're needing for your quarterback, if you need that level of production, week one to achieve the franchise goal that you need, that needs to be backed by that level of investment in that guy.
Seeing ghosts. Seeing ghosts. That's not good. And you already said they're going to keep bringing it. I would too.
And so now I want to kind of move this conversation forward. And I feel like this season especially, like we've seen some of these guys who have had that bust tag applied to them and kind of been cast away in their second, third act, whatever. They're leading some of the better teams in the league right now. You look at guys like Jared Goff, who was cast away by the Rams, even though he led them to the Super Bowl or was on that team that went to the Super Bowl, cast away by the Rams to Detroit. Detroit's at the top of the NFC. You look at Sam Darnold, a guy who was cast away by the Jets, saw Ghost on Monday night. He's leading the Vikings to one of the better records in the league. You look at Geno Smith, who in my opinion has been one of the better quarterbacks over the past 2 years. He's got that Seattle team in the mix for the wild NFC West right now. So even Justin Fields, who started the year for Pittsburgh, got out to a 5-2 record after being cast away by the Bears. So talking about some of these second act guys, I want to move this conversation to talk about top five QBs in the league. And the reason I want to do this is because my number one might shock y'all. Before we get into it, let me remind y'all of last year's NFL top five QBs as voted on by the players. So last year, Lamar was the highest ranked quarterback coming in at number 2 overall. Mahomes was second, coming in at number 4 overall. Josh Allen was third, coming in at number 12 overall. Number 4 was Jalen Hurts, coming in at number 15 overall. And number 5 was Dakota Prescott, coming in at number 16 overall. And just so y'all know, 6 and 7 were Stroud and Purdy, coming in at 20 and 28 respectively. So looking at some of these second act guys, I think a good bit of this list can be replaced. So tell me, who are y'all's top 5 right now at this mid-season point?
I don't know if this will shock you. I don't know if this is committing, a top five list, but I cannot keep abiding Patrick Mahomes. Like, I get what we're gonna say. Like, if I say he's not number one, oh, well, he's beating these guys in the playoffs. He's when it matters the most. Like, if all is good and well in football and just, he has awful, awful statistics. He's not playing well. I can't keep abiding this just because I think he's gonna win another Super Bowl or he's gonna have one decent drive when there's 37 seconds left. And who else would you rather have? Like, that is not all football encompasses. I can't keep putting Patrick Mahomes, giving him the benefit of the doubt. You had Lamar as you said he was number one on the list. To me, he hasn't fallen off enough to lose that number one spot. From what I see, I think it's time to have a conversation. We can't keep doing this playoff bias thing that doesn't actually affect the regular season, which is all I have to work with. I have to go Lamar one. Lamar is playing a different brand of football than he's used to because now he has no type of defensive help. So whereas it was, 15 carries, maybe 15 pass attempts. We're going to run the ball. We're going to score. We're going to drop 28. We're going to hold you to 15. We're going to win 9 or 10 games. Now we're having to see college Lamar. Yeah, he's got Derrick Henry. Yeah, he's got a few more weapons, but now it's really on him. Like, I am going out in the game with the expectation that my defense is not going to stop. They couldn't stop the damn Raiders at home. Gardner Minshew was tearing them up. This is something that we haven't seen in the Lamar era. The defense is bad. It's like, and it has no reason to be this bad. They've
They
got
lost a
D-line.
lot
They've
of
got,
pieces, bro.
well, I would say on the back end, but the front
Yeah.
seven, you've got probably one of the best safeties. You probably got the best linebacker. You've got Matabike. You've got weapons on the D-line. Yeah, the secondary is trash. Don't get me wrong, but like the secondary, is it that bad compared to the O-line? I'm sorry, the D-line and the linebacker crew that where it's like the 28th ranked defense? Are they really that bad?
Comparatively, yes, because you talk about that D-line, they lost to Davion Clowney, who had a hell of a season last year and added to that pressure that they were able to create.
Yeah.
And two, surprisingly, Ronald Darby was one of the better cover corners in the league last
Yeah,
year.
that was surprising.
So losing those two pieces, I think, really hurts. And then, you combine losing it, you add in losing Patrick Queen. I know,
Yeah.
that defense is still got some good names, got some good pieces on
Right,
it.
on paper.
Yeah, but losing those three as well as your defensive coordinator, that's a tough pill for any team.
So I just think watching how he's able to sling the rock, now he's looking at like 30 pass attempts. The run game is not so heavy on him, but he's really like, there is no part of his game where we're like, oh, they're not asking him. They like to sneak this and say, well, they're not asking him to do. No, yes, they
Facts.
are. They're asking him to do everything because he can do everything. Mahomes has more interceptions than touchdowns. This is not a 3-game stretch. We are about to enter week 9 or week 10. When are we going to start holding guys accountable for what they do? Like, we can't just look. We don't give any other quarterback a pass because they won a playoff game, because they won Super Bowls, because we know what we think they're going to do. Like, we don't project when it comes to everyone. If we're going to be fair, Lamar has been 1, Josh Allen has been 2. I don't even want to put Mahomes 3, but like, I feel like I would sound crazy if I knock him out of 5. But if we all close our eyes and was like, all right, let's you read me the numbers, give me the stats. Like, oh, this guy he's not playing well. Like, and you're gonna have him top 5. Well, yeah, I'm sure I'm committing a Cardinal sin. It probably sounds ridiculous, but he's not 1 or 2. So after 1 and 2, I don't feel that strongly. Yeah, it's week 9. The list you just read was crazy because like 2, 3 of those guys will not sniff that top 10 for the rest of this year. So I don't even really care after 2. Y'all can take that. I just want to let y'all know that I don't want to say changing of the guard, but like, we've got to start having this conversation. I don't give a damn about the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is being put on notice. He's top 5 in interceptions every single year. He's careless with the football. The degree of difficulty for him is not good enough for me to overlook how poorly he's played at sometimes. Like, what is the level of difficulty for him? You've got the best offensive mind in the league. You have 3 O-line that are on the mid-season All-Pro team. You have a great running back. You have weapons for the most part.
Them
I know they're
tackles some
hurt.
shit. I know you said 3 offensive linemen, but them 2 tackles, the most important for the pass game, they some
Yeah.
shit game.
Mr. Always offside. Like, we could talk about it later. I've never seen that
The
in my
real
life.
JT. Okay,
Hey,
he be
facts.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that's literally JV football. Like, we could talk about that later, but no, I don't want to mince words. Like, the team is everything as advertised. Like, they're winning these football games. A win is a win. They are in dynasty mode. They're one of the best teams we've seen. But like, that doesn't. A lot of times they're like, I hate to say it, but they're winning these games in spite of Patrick Mahomes. They won the Atlanta game in spite of Patrick Mahomes. They won the Cincinnati game in spite of Patrick Mahomes. They were in some trouble last week. Like, he's not hurting them necessarily, but he is not helping the way that, he dragged some no-name guys to the Super Bowl last year. Now it's like, all right, Pat, come on, we're used to winning, but can you help us out a little bit more? He's like, nah, I think I'll throw 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and I'll let y'all do the rest.
I'll get a cool truck though.
I'm gonna push back on you, TJ, just a little bit because our eyes are seeing the same thing, but the postseason does matter, and the jump in postseason play. Not even like not to be what am I trying to say? Not to be superficial. Like, I know exactly what you're saying, but the point is the same reason why as much as we've seen Patrick Mahomes be bad for the better part of 2 regular seasons, the reason why you will never take Dak Prescott over him because he is the exact inverse. And not only NFL fans, Cowboys fans cannot stand it, the fact that he's a top 10 guy in the league for 16, now 17 games, and he absolutely disintegrates in the playoffs. So if we have a narrative, not even a narrative, if we have fact-based evidence to slander Dak as much as possible, I posted a whole song about it. Then we do need to recognize the inverse is true for Patrick Mahomes. And trust me, I feel the same way. But the same way I said on the basketball episode that I'm not gonna kill the Nuggets till Jokic proves he's not that. Until we've seen Mahomes struggle to this level in the postseason, you just have to. I give it some attribution that hey, he doesn't care until the postseason comes around, which it does. Like I said, you don't. It's a lot of shit. We're talking about a 6-0 team, but the football has been bad. But when we look at Patty versus Dak, you would rather have this problem versus the inverse, which again, great regular season play and subpar playoff play. So just like I said, the eyes don't lie, the film doesn't lie, but we just have too much. We have too much tape on a guy who's elite when it matters most. You know, and even like I said, the football, the stats don't look the best. I didn't realize the touchdown interception ratio, but he's still doing all the leader stuff. Like he's willing them to win, like taking a jump in terms of his scrambling, which he's always been there, but I think he's been more intentional with being off schedule this year. But also said doing the like I said, the intangible stuff. He's been, I think, from my perspective, more intentional with getting Kelsey on track after a slow start to the year. So we're seeing him, in a way that, not even in a way, he hasn't played as well as he has in the past in the regular season, but he's doing all the leadership stuff, the winner stuff that's got them 6-0. So, like I said,
That's a right quarterback description, bro.
Like I said, I'm just going to TV now.
But where Pat Mahomes come in on your top 5, bro?
Pat Mahomes is 5 on my top 5. Purely because of what TJ said. Like I said, doing a quick cursory of the numbers, he's not playing like even a top 10 quarterback. But there's no other quarterback, there's no other undefeated team at this point in the league. You talk about taking the numbers off that we wouldn't throw in the top 5. So he's at the top 5. He's at 5 for me. But my 4 and 3, because spoiler alert, my top 2 is the same as TJ, because I think it's kind of undeniable how good those guys have been playing. My 3 and 4 are 2 guys that would come from the opposite ends of the spectrum of the conversation we just talked about. Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud. I wanted to put Jay Daniels there so bad. I wanted to kind of in the receiving bias and the hype and the Hail Mary. But hey, like I said, you have a guy just that has a playoff win on his resume. And also we talk about those 1% abnormal case in terms of quarterback development, like quarterback stars. We just mentioned it with TJ just mentioned it that CJ Stroud was so good in his first year in Houston that there's now a narrative that the rebuild, there was an expedited rebuild. No, CJ Stroud is just so far outperforming expectations that he turned him into a playoff team. So for me, because CJ Stroud, like I said, he had taken his lump this year, but got a good comeback win versus the Colts. Like I said, last night was probably his worst game. And if you just looked at any other team in the league, a guy that 2 receivers went down, the offensive line has not been good as expected. He's maintained, I would say, 10 to 15% of the same level of production that made the whole world go crazy about him last year. So no, I just think that we look at record wise and what the ability that the football that he's playing, I still think that he's a guy that is a 27 out of 32 times in the league. You had the upper hand in terms of the QB battle on the field. And then Baker Mayfield is on the other end of the spectrum to where I've been a Baker Mayfield data. Like I've lost fantasy football games because I was not believing the Baker Mayfield hype train. But in the same day, I mentioned all the context around CJ Stroud. The football on the field for Baker Mayfield has been too good for 2+ seasons now. We talk about injuries with Stroud. Baker Mayfield, his 2 top guys, a guy that have propped up this career resurgence in a sense. He just lost his 2 best guys and went out there and threw what? 80% completion of 300 yards? Yeah. Like, the football has been too good for too long. We talk about, like I said, the career resurgence. We talk about the quarterback development. And he's doing all this under a defensive-minded head coach. Yeah. And we look at Baker Mayfield, like I said, strip away context. We strip away, like I said, just a context or even, external factors that will make his success, more likely, like I said. It's probably not a better 1-2 duo than Godwin and Evans. He had just been too consistent, um, too good of a fit, and like I said, he's been too good on to ignore that to take him outside of the top 5. So yeah, I got Mahomes, Mayfield, Stroud, Josh Allen, and Lamar.
So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Lamar gotta stay number one. On pace for 4,000 passing, 1,000 rushing. Like that's number one for sure. But number two is Cartier man Jared Goff himself, bro. I'm tired of the Jared Goff disrespect, bro. I've been trying to tell y'all he's one of the top tier quarterbacks in this league, and he's proven it this season. He leads the league in completion percentage, completing over 71% of his passes. His passing yards, raw numbers aren't up there. Shit, he just won a game with less than 100 passing yards. Still completing, I want to say he went 12 for 15 that game, 80 something yards. But he's got the Lions in a place to where they've only taken one loss. He went into Minnesota and really disbanded the defense that everybody was hyping up. So I think Jared Goff is two. 3-4, I gotta go. 3-4 is tough. I think I'm gonna go Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, 3-4. And I think those are interchangeable either way. Like Josh Allen, cool. Like I'm glad he's cut down on the turnovers this year, but at the same time, all your wins over teams who ain't won shit. In the games that matter most, he hasn't impressed me. So I gotta slide him at 4, Pat at 3, just based off the winning. And then at number 5, I gotta go Jane Daniels, man. I gotta do it. Like I'm buying the early hype. He's second in the league in completion percentage. He's looked damn good. Every time I've seen him, he went head to head with Joe Burrow. I know quarterback head to heads don't matter, but he went head to head with Joe Burrow. Looked better than him in that game. Looked better than Caleb Williams. I mean, I'm buying Jane Daniels hype, bro. He's my number 5 right now until Drake May really show y'all who he is.
But now you got the rest a little bit in there. But hey, there's room for fantasy in CS. No, Jane Daniels is CJ Stroud V2. Not mad at that at all. Like I said, transparently, golf has been playing better than Mahomes. He probably, like you said, if there was no context, he would definitely be in my top 5 because, like you said, the completion rate is crazy. He was what? That was the record. He said what, 18 for 18, and even like over the
Yeah.
past 2 games, he's like what, 85% or something crazy
He
like
got
that.
more
touchdowns
touchdowns
than
than incompletions. Hey,
Nah. So yeah, I think we all acknowledge, but just the level of the bankability of Mahomes to be there in January. It's keeping him on our list, but I would argue between us, we named what 7 different guys in our top 5s. All 7 of them have played better than Patrick Mahomes. I would say than over the first 9 weeks of the season.
and I ain't gonna lie, we named 7 different guys, and one guy I want to give honorable mention to, especially after the way he bounced back from a down season. I gotta throw Jalen Hurts in there too, bro. The way he's kind of being a duel. All right, never mind.
I mean,
I'll shut the fuck up.
it's cool, but Saquon is the reason for the resurgence. As a guy that
did you? I don't know about that. Did you watch the game last week?
talking about the versus the Giants?
No, versus the Bengals.
No, I didn't.
They didn't really let Saquon like rock. That was a Jalen Hurts win. Like they literally would not let Saquon touch the ball. It was like within 10 yards of the goal. Like I've never quite seen anything like it. You have this 4.340 running hammer. Let's give the Jalen Hurts, who was, I mean, yeah, the Bengals defense ain't no good, but like Jalen Hurts was a meme a few weeks ago because he couldn't stop turning the ball over, and he's taking care of it every week since. I mean, that was a Jalen Hurts win. Like Saquon is the engine, yeah, but Jalen Hurts was whipping that hoe this past Sunday. This Sunday, at least from what I saw.
Hey, that catch from D. Smitty was crazy too, bro.
Yeah, I'm about to say like all he does is make plays. Like, and Jalen Hurts was playing without. They were playing with the Goonies out wide. So
Jalen Hurts is a winner. He his ability to lead a team hasn't been in the question. I'm just that tush push shit, man. Like, what do you do for me outside of being like a
nigga that squad 600
power
pounds.
forward inside the red zone? Like, nah, it's just win with your arm, man. Like you got. I mean, I said it before, but like AJ Brown and Smitty, like there's too much offensive untapped potential for Philadelphia for me to give him his kudos right now. I would say.
But there has been a lot of, you understand, there's been a lot of coaching malpractice. Like we were not taking this team seriously. The coach was yelling at the fans. He shaved his head before the game. Like that was an all-time dumpster fire like 2 weeks ago. So it's not like with Mahomes and Andy Reid, like it's nothing but like slam dunk, slam dunk. It's like this team is being mismanaged. You have injuries. The offensive line, like from the perspective of a Saints fan, their offensive line literally collapsed mid-game, and they still beat us. Lane Johnson started throwing up. One of the other ones like broke his leg. Like they lost 3 linemen in the middle of the game. We killed Smitty. AJ Brown was like, not this week, and they still beat us. So it's like, unfortunately, the NFC East is kind of not shaping up well for the Cowboys. Sorry, fans. Like the Commanders, it's crazy that the Commanders have pretty much already won enough games to be taken seriously. They only need to win like 1 or 2 more games to be a playoff team. We aren't talking about the Eagles how we should be, but they might win 12 games this year. And then we're going to look up at Dallas and be like, it wasn't supposed to go like this, but damn, like this is the reality of the NFL. Like that top 5 list we just gave, the mystique of the helmet mystique is going off the rails this year. Like we are no longer like gone are the days of, oh, that's the star on the helmet. Oh, they got the 49ers on the helmet. Oh,
No,
the 49ers, like it's like
currently out of the playoffs, San Francisco 49ers you're referring to.
that's what I'm saying. We're having a serious, like, respectable conversation, and like if I brought a guy from 2021 in a time machine and he sat here and watched us talk about Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, he might start seizing up. But to your point, you can't keep looking at quarterback mystique and ignoring raw numbers. What else does Jared Goff have to do? Baker Mayfield, they do not have a good offensive coordinator. They have a terrible offensive line. I was a Baker Mayfield doubter too, but all I have seen for the last 2 years is hooping.
Yeah.
I don't love him. I'm not going to defend him, but all I have seen is hooping.
Shit. I'll defend
They're
Baker
hooping.
Mayfield. I ain't gonna say to the day I die because that's meat riding. But I'll always
Right.
defend Baker Mayfield, bro. Ever
Right.
since he
No,
planted that flag at Ohio State, I was like, yeah, he got it. He got it.
Now, like, I know that he has, like, you know, some, like, to his Cleveland, he has some diehard fans, but, like, I can't, like, if I wanted to be fair, I wasn't giving Mahomes, you know, the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't deserved it. I have to give it where it is earned. I watched Baker Mayfield. He played against us 4 or 5 times, however, tearing us up. I'm watching him play against. He dismantled the Eagles last year. They were supposed to have a, you know,
In the
that was a team.
playoffs.
Eagles.
Regular season and playoffs.
Come on now, like this is a team that we're supposed to be respecting. The Eagles have been a 10, 11, 12 win team. They just went to the Super Bowl, and he wasn't worried about that. He's like, oh, well, y'all got to show me. Y'all got to show me. I got a defensive-minded head coach. The offensive line is worth shit. The running game was non-existent last year. Baker said they forgot to tell Baker Mayfield that.
No
Because all he does is same with Jared Goff. This is a crazy conversation to be having, but if I want to push the fairness that I was asking for earlier, we can't ignore raw numbers to helmet scout or to talk about quarterback mystique of, you know. Now, if we were talking about who would I rather take, then I'd probably go Mahomes 1 just because I know what I'm getting. But I can't punish the other quarterbacks who are outplaying him simply because he's been put in a position that other quarterbacks are not. They should not be made to suffer. If you are not playing like the number 1 quarterback, we have to draw a line in the sand. You are not the number 1 quarterback. If you are playing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line in the sand, you are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to get rid of the, you know, this aura, this mystique, whatever. If you don't earn it, you don't get it. It's maybe it's a foreign concept, but I think that's what we should start doing. I don't call me crazy, but
Hey, Josh, stand up and show him your shirt, though.
Come on, brother.
Half Diddy, half holy.
Okay, sir.
So, as we've alluded to, we're at the midway point of the season. And Josh, you brought up an interesting point in that one of y'all brought up an interesting point in that last segment, that right now the 49ers, if the playoffs started today, they would not make the playoffs. So let's talk about the 49ers for a little minute and their situation. What are y'all seeing with this team? A team who came into the season with Super Bowl aspirations.
We love our players over here. We're all about our guys getting money. But we just kind of the rinse repeat cycle that we're seeing in terms of guys, you know, having all the talent in the world, but not being on the field. We're seeing it with Memphis right now. We're seeing it's been an oft-repeated thing with the 49ers, but when they're not at the drop-off for their level of play, when they're not at full strength, is massive. And maybe it's, you know, the gift of having so much talent, of being top-heavy, you know, when you're relying upon your top 7, 8 guys to be, playmakers 60, 70, 80 snaps. And when those guys aren't available, you're gonna have that drop off. But when you got a guy in Ayuk that you're not able to develop a rhythm with him in the offseason because he wants his money. And on the flip side, as a guy that's a star in his league, he doesn't get the development time with the young bucks in his room. It's not a situation where you have, Ricky Parcell getting popped in the chest, but you don't have a guy waiting in the wing to kind of step up into Ayuk's way or to hold up that's been his mentee in a sense. So you got, they're just patchwork. So you got Mason in there, you got Mason there for McCaffrey. You're looking for a true number one wideout because, as we mentioned, Deebo Samuel was a playmaker with the ball, and he's not necessarily a guy that's created a ton of separation at the top of his roster, things like that. They're a patchwork team right now. Honestly, you could say that Brock Purdy has been the best player at least on the offensive side of the ball for them, and that's just a far cry from what they've had before with him being, the ancillary piece, the play finisher versus the star of the show. Brock Purdy, is the reason why he was Mr. Irrelevant. He's the guy he was meant to do what he's been doing the past couple of seasons, prop up a stellar cast, not be the star of the show.
I think that's pretty succinct right there because all of those problems, like
I say, I just jabbed niggas like my bad. I ain't mean to stun the room. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you just spoke the truth, bro. No CMC, having Debo, having some of the other guys in and out of the lineup, losing Ayuk for the year, that's a lot to overcome. And additionally, you look at that defense, same problems there. I'm gonna keep it as a buck, bro. Y'all watch the receiver?
No, I didn't. I watched the first episode. I saw Jettas and I didn't finish. I watched the first two though.
I ain't gonna lie, I came away from that shit seeing George Kittle as a cornball. Like when they lost, he was like on the field, like, yeah, we'll be here again. And I was like, yeah, that's the moment I knew this team wasn't going back. So, like I said, Josh, I ain't got much to add other than, yeah,
that's
you
just a
hit it on
bonus.
the head. Yeah,
that's just a bonus for your receiver. Nah, I feel you. He was a cornball for sure. Like he did very TikTok. Like he listed like as a grown ass TikToker for sure. But I just didn't I don't know. That's kind of what I expected. Honestly, he gives off cornball in real life, so I didn't expect his personal life to. I didn't expect him to look like anything different in the back. And that's like a tight end thing. Like they just had national tight end and they like those that archetype position. It's just generally like the tight end is never the coolest guy on your team.
Yeah, it's cringy. They're
cringy.
Yeah.
There we go, TJ. Exactly.
It's crazy that George Kittle said they will be back. But that was them coming back. Like, we have seen this movie before. Like, lest we forget, same team, same situation, double-digit lead or a quarter, lost to the same team. But the thing that we're not talking about is, I'm going to take this in a different direction, is the coach. We just saw this team last year, probably the best roster they've ever had, they ever will have. He did the same thing that he's always done. Mind you, I can argue that they weren't even supposed to be in that championship game because they were getting the business from Jordan Love. So, again, they had a double-digit lead in that game. So why are we surprised that we watched him struggle, clunk along in the playoffs, and then when we get in the Super Bowl, we put our hands up like, damn, why does he keep doing this? We can't keep watching Kyle Shanahan show us what he has to offer and then be surprised when it's not what we want. He has shown you when he was the OC with Atlanta, he is not going to win you the big game. It's not speculation. It's not a hunch. It's not a hot take. He's not going. This is what, 3 times?
Yeah.
3 times the lead. We're talking about championship games, divisionals, and Super Bowls. Those are the 3 biggest games that you can get in. He is not going to win you those games. And the problem is there is no fire under his ass. Every year we do this. Okay, so we're going to say injuries. That is definitely clearly far and away the biggest one. But I think this is maybe a different way to look at it. But the biggest indictment of him is the fact that they drafted a quarterback at 3, and it was his bright idea to toss him to the Wolves after a few seasons, and then go start the quarterback that he didn't even really want on the team. So this is your offensive mind. He's a mastermind guru. I'm gonna draft, and they gave up a generational haul for Trey Lance, and Shanahan's like, I'm not really a quarterback guru. Let's go back to Jimmy G. Oh, he's hurt. Who else do we have? All right. Like, there has been no repercussion for his actions. He threw Steve Wilkes under the bus last year. Okay, so it was a defense. Low motor. We go get rid of all the low motor guys. Chase Young, them guys are gone. Okay, injuries. We have seen you fail to perform with an injury-free team. That team was healthy when it got to crunch time last year, and when they first went against Pat, Mr. Will be back. You already been back. That was number 2. For Shanahan, that's 3. You 0 for 3. You 0 for 3 with
Yeah.
3 leads. And like it's kind of like your ears perked up when I said Shanahan, but like why is his ass not on the hot seat? What is it going to take? Like, oh, we have a good enough thing when Andy Reid is showing you can build a great thing. Well, at least we went to the championship game, but that counts for shit. You didn't win it. He's showing you that he can't. He showed us last year he shouldn't even been there. The Lions were smacking them. The Packers were smacking them. We're talking about a team that's not making the playoffs. They shouldn't have even made it past the first round that they played. But their coach, he's uninspired. He's been there. So, yeah, he knows better than you, but he's not going to get it done. You can't tell him anything because he's been there. You're not going to put a fire under his ass because he's getting them surface wins. He's getting them makeup wins. Oh, we're going to win 10 games and we're going to beat Dallas. But, I mean, that's all I got. So, just some food for thought because I know most people don't think of him as a hot seat coach because you have to be bad to be a hot seat coach. But if your goal is to win championships, a team, an organization that has what, 6 of them, he's not a championship head coach.
I think you just woke some people up, bro. You just opened that third eye. Now kind of shifting over to another NFC team who didn't necessarily have the same expectations as the 49ers coming into this season, but find themselves in a better position in the Washington Commanders. So first, I want to ask y'all, is this the best team in the NFC East? Van's not here. We can be honest. It's not like the Cowboys will shit anyway, but
The only thing that prevents me from for saying yes is what TJ saying in terms of like just because of the raw talent on Philadelphia side, they're gonna damn near trip and stumble into a 10-11 wins. And
I'm about to say that Philly's about to they're about to, if they haven't clicked, it's like this is kind of hard because this is like a projection. Like I want to say like the track that it's pointing, like yes, it's the Commanders, but I feel like we're waiting for that shoe to drop and for them to like go like 2-5 the last, however. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but like you're saying, Philly just had too much. Like Philly, we're waiting for Philly's shoe to drop in a good way, but I feel like we're waiting for the Commanders' shoe to drop in a bad way.
I mean, they haven't. I want to say, Washington hasn't played any division games yet, huh?
I don't think I'm about to look at the schedule now.
No, they're about to play their second game against the Giants.
Oh,
I mean, that doesn't really count.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's playing New York School of the Deaf and Blind.
I don't think
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
I just think that I think we're taking. I mean, we've had a lot of responsible conversations this pod. I think we're taking the responsible route in terms of managing expectations for the Commanders. Like Jay Daniels were to run off, with the NFC title crown and become offensive rookie and all this, that will literally be unprecedented. So for to say right now, we have a team in this division that just went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. For us to say definitively right now, we expect the Commanders to win, or that we even projecting that. Like we just did a lot of down talking on Philly for them to still be 6-2, and for us to still believe they haven't played their best ball yet. So I would still say that they're the big dogs in that division. Because no depth, it's really gonna be them and Washington because the Commanders and Giants, whatever. And B, this is like despite all the wealth that they have, this team is much more tried and true than the Commanders. Navigating a conference schedule, knowing the particular button that you need to push down the stretch of the season to for a playoff push. And I just think that, like I said, with the we're receding from the recency bias, and fortunate, unfortunate, not speaking down on them, but there is a wall that I believe Jay Nez will hit at a certain point. So just some hesitancy on not predicting an unprecedented start for the Commanders. I think all of us watching, have it's been clearly definable for me that the Commanders have looked better than the Eagles over these first games.
Right.
But yeah, just projecting it out, I would think we're using our big boy football brains to say, hey, we know what we've seen, but we also have context and we know how situational football is deployed. The best teams at the end of the season are the teams with the best record. It's who's managed their roster the best, who's managed injury and rest and things like that.
Like Josh said, to be responsible here, like, yes, our eyes are not deceiving us. The Commanders will most likely make the playoffs. They have won 6 games. They really don't need to win 2 more, 3 more to get a playoff spot out of 8 games? I don't know. But this is a 6-2 football team. The Eagles are probably the 3rd seed in the NFC, but we don't speak about them in that manner. They keep beating teams with a bunch of offensive firepower on the other side, and they've been winning games with all their weapons gone. Like there was a whole head coaching debacle that kind of took away from the shine of what they're doing. But this is a team that, like you said, they stumble and they just keep winning double-digit games. That's not for lack of. We shouldn't just gloss past it. Their defense was terrible last year. They got 2 rookies that can play. The D line, Jalen Carter's playing out of his mind, like what we thought he would be. N'Kobe Dean's taking that step. Like that team is ready to play. Like I'm not seeing like established NFC teams. Like yeah, Minnesota's playing well, but do you really think that if the Eagles drew the Vikings at home in the first round, are we really going to take Sam Darnold in the playoff? No disrespect to him because we're not. You see what I'm saying? Like we're not letting that happen. Like if they got. Maybe they got Tampa Bay again. Maybe they'd be a little bit more ready because they're tired of being embarrassed. Like, this is a team that we're not even just talking about for the division. Like, the 49ers are out the way. The Cowboys are out the way. Like, if their biggest competition is the Commanders, they don't even have to beat the Commanders twice. They beat them one time. They'll get a good playoff seed. They might beat the Cowboys twice. The Commanders might slip up and lose 5 straight. The Wall, I don't want to predict against my guy. The Wall's coming. Realistically, the Wall should have happened last week. They didn't play well. Jaden Daniels played well, but that team did not play well. The Commanders should have hit that wall, if not for the most ridiculous play that you'll ever see, like for a number of reasons. But like that wall for the Commanders is probably coming. And like I haven't seen anything with the Eagles. Like they have proven that they can overcome obstacles, injuries, coaching, and we're kind of not talking about it. So in a few weeks, the Eagles might be 8-2, and we're like, whoa. When did that happen? And we can think back to this moment where we were talking about, who is going to take off in the division. And we've been talking about San Francisco, even though they're not good. And then we look up the Eagles have won, 8-2, 10-2. We're like, damn, is this a Super Bowl contender? Again, because they just were one.
Nah, it's because it's not sexy, TJ. Because we've seen them before. We spent a whole thing clearly kind of outlining some of their faults. They're faults in ways that they've come up short. But like you said, they've managed to find they're definitely the definition of manufacturing wins. I think
6-2 is nothing. It's like they're like very Kansas City-esque. It is not sexy.
Yes,
it's not sexy. You look at the numbers, you're like Jalen Hurts is not playing that well. But like again, like it is hard to win in the NFL. Those wins stack up quickly. Those losses stack up quickly. The season is moving. The Eagles are in prime position. The 49ers were like teams like the Rams, the Seahawks, that whole division has taken these are teams that were fighting for playoff spots. The Eagles are not only playing well, but the competition, for lack of better words, is eating itself right in front of us. And we're like, damn, this is the world we live in. Like the NFC East has, we haven't had a repeat winner in some years, but now we're starting to see that it's not because they're all bad. It's because they're all good. So the Eagles will knock a few teams off in the division. And again, it is not sexy, but like we're seeing them win in a way that we haven't. They steamrolled everybody 2 years ago. They literally cakewalked to the Super Bowl. It was probably the most easily, route to the Super Bowl that I've seen in some time. Like the Eagles literally pushed everybody out the way. Now we're really starting to see, how do you dig in when you want the coach gone? How do we dig in when they want the quarterback gone? How do we dig in when we're looking at Jason Kelce on the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial, but we want him back on the line? How do we dig in when we think the defense sucks? All that goes out the window when you win 10 games, because there's not going to be, newsflash, there's not going to be a lot of 10-win teams in the NFC. The way these teams keep beating each other's ass, we might be looking at a 2 seed with 8 wins. At this rate, the way that they're killing each other, the Eagles' wins are coming at a premium.
Cardinals leading that division with a 4-4 record right now. Bro.
Wow, they're leading?
Yes.
Wow.
Currently the 4th seed in the playoffs right now, bro, with a 4-4
That is
record.
crazy.
Hold on, let me look. All those NFC West teams are like, they can get you on one. All the NFC West teams are fall in the same category. Seattle, LA,
San Francisco.
They could get you on one night, but you're not getting playoff level of consistency. So one of the teams is gonna have to win, but you look at them. I'm looking at the same way that we looked at the what is that? The Bucks and the
NFC South.
The same way we looked at South last year, where it's like,
right.
We just have a sacrificial.
You get 8 wins, you're gonna win.
Exactly. Yeah, so somebody got to win now.
But they don't even. It's like the only thing I'll say for the West, the upside of those whoever comes out of the division is a little higher than the South last, the AFC South last year.
Yeah, well, it's like because they're all competitive. The South was like we're all bad.
Y'all
Somebody
got good quarterbacks.
right,
Herbert,
like
Kyler, Matt Stafford. I'm forgetting what was on.
Bro, we was
the
looking
West.
at Desmond Ritter, Bryce Young.
I'm saying Marcus
First
Mariota got up
year,
in there one year.
yeah.
Kaka.
Taysom Hill, Jameis went like, come on now. Like the West is like, I think it's for like this is more indicative of competition. And when I said beating each other up, like I mean like literally beating each other up. The Rams have lost all their receivers at one point. The Cardinals lost both like they lost Harrison McBride. The Seahawks, the whole O line, DK done. The 49ers, like I don't just mean record. I mean like if one of those teams get in the playoffs, we're looking at a Michael Wilson DeMarcado legacy game. Like these teams aren't gonna have anybody. Like if we give the Rams a playoff spot and I gotta watch Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell,
Chill.
getting busy, we're gonna be like, damn, it's looking crazy for the so hell, the Commanders might win a playoff game. If they're fully healthy and the Commanders get an NFC West team, it might get a little crazy in the playoffs. I'm just like Cardinals, Commanders first round. Oh my goodness. That'd be a crazy game.
That'll be the hypest, nastiest game ever.
Ugly game. I'm talking about like 17-19 type game.
No
It's
cap.
gonna be
Jaden and Kyler running everywhere, bro.
the fuck gonna have 27 rushes for 28 yards, scrambling, running for their life.
4 interceptions combined.
Every team in the NFC West with 4 losses currently. To speak to Nick's point,
And how is that like
3, 4, and 4 teams and one, and the Rams at 3 and 4.
That like, do y'all know how crazy that is for like teams that they all have the same record?
Damn near.
But say 3, 4, and 4, and then the Rams are just 4 and 4 because they had a bye.
Wow.
That's like the evenness of splits.
Oh, God.
And it's gonna keep happening. Like I look at the quarterbacks, they're all like somewhat in the same tier. Like they're all beat up. They all have wideouts that can play, but they're beat up. Like you might be looking back to the 7-9 Seahawks that beat my Saints in 2011 with the Beastquake, one of the worst teams we've ever seen make the playoffs and win a playoff game. So we're looking at again Arizona and the like it's crazy. But if that division is that bad, like can the Cowboys get in back door? Is there a way they get in back door?
I don't.
It's all
think
about
so.
schedule, brother.
Because
I mean, the
it's not
NFC
even
South
about.
is not.
It's about winning games, and I know they without Micah and DeMarcus right now, but what I've seen from that defense, and like TJ said, the NFC West be beating the shit out of each other. In the sense of they be running the ball, not like, you know what I'm saying? Like the
Right.
NFC West has become a very physical division. So,
Yeah, literally.
or I mean, the NFC period has become a very
Right.
physical conference. So I just don't see the Cowboys being able to stack enough wins to be able to backdoor anybody when it comes to the playoffs.
Because the South, okay, so the South is, this is what I'm thinking. The South is only getting one spot. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Like, we should have a law that some
Tampa
teams shouldn't
Bay.
even get a, yeah, Tampa Bay's going to get, like, sometimes some of these teams, some of these divisions don't even deserve a spot, but, like, just by default, we have to. So they'll only get one. So that's one. The West is only going to get one. All right, that's two. The North
NFC
is starting
North
to,
is tricky.
the North is starting to get a little choppy because Chicago's starting to lose games, Minnesota's starting to lose, and Detroit is, like, taking off. I think Detroit is not going to lose another division game. That's just like a projection. Like the way they're playing, Green Bay, they can't stay healthy. Like that's a weird team because like every time you look up, they win the game, but you're like, damn, like how did they beat the Texans? But then we saw last night, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, have you ever seen like a quarterback like Jordan Love every week you don't know if he's gonna play? I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
With
It's
different
like
injuries too, bro.
it's like every week, like is he gonna like is he? And this week they still don't know. Like that division, they're gonna start beating each other up. I think we're gonna look at one, maybe not the Cowboys, but there's a backdoor team coming, and we're gonna look at like week 16. We're gonna be like, damn, how the fuck they get in the playoffs? We don't want to see that.
I don't know. You talking about a backdoor? I think the Vikings might be the backdoor. Either the Vikings or the Bears. I think they might be the backdoor team.
Well, that's crazy because they were just undefeated.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're like the reason why we're doing the midseason check-in now, not 3 weeks ago. Like the aberrations have started to appear. Like
Minnesota, they dropped 2 in a row.
Yeah, 2 straight in a week.
We get to. I'm
Sunday,
saying
Thursday.
we get to a point where where it's as great as a start they got out to, we look up in another month and they're what 7-5 and all. They're scrapping for position. Like it was a great start, but you're like you said earlier, like you're in the position that you're in now. You can't. There's no, the best bet they will be to do is to see what the success that they had over the first 6 weeks of the season outside of play for Sam Darnold because you know he's he's in a better situation now, but the level of play you wouldn't want to bank on that in terms of replicable success. So
especially not in the playoffs.
so they need to find offensive identity that doesn't quite revolve around Sam Darnold being as good and keep that shit trucking.
So I guess that division will they might get 2 then. So what are we looking at, 5? So then that means the North and the East will both get 2 spots probably.
We're looking at NFC wild card, Packers, Vikings, Commanders, or second place in NFC East. That's what we're really looking at.
I'm about to say because the Commanders will be the 6th seed, but they'll have won 9 games.
That's what I'm saying. Like second, whether it's them or Philly, whoever doesn't take the NFC East, Packers, Vikings. That's what we're looking for in terms of the wild card.
Wow. So we're thinking like Detroit runaway 1 seed.
For sure.
And they'll probably have to see another NFC North team though, because that always happens in the like division teams always link up. Like they would love a Packers because whoever wins that Packers Lions game, if they were to, that's your Super Bowl team right there. I think if they're both healthy, we're looking at Green Bay, who quietly has a pretty solid team on both sides of the ball.
Really good.
Out of nowhere. And then you have the Lions, like they know what it's like to get right there and then they get hit in the mouth and they're like, damn. So now when they get to playing in the playoffs, we're not taking foot off gas. You're all gonna get 40. We're sending 5-6 at you. They're coming for blood. Like they're not gonna sit back and they're not running no more damn jet sweeps and quarterback passes. They finna just be dive left, dive right, drags, digs. They're gonna keep their foot on the gas. This is a playoff team. The Detroit Lions are not a fluke. They made it 1 year. This would be their third year being a respectable team. So I think I like what they will do. But if those 2 teams meet, I think we're looking at an NFC North team in the championship game by minimum.
No, I agree, right? I feel like I said this a minute ago. Whoever wins the NFC North will win the NFC crown and go to the Super Bowl. I'm not bold enough to say they'll win the Super Bowl, but I'm bold enough to say they'll go to the Super Bowl.
So we're looking at Lions, Ravens. We were owed that last year.
I agree. That was my prediction last year, bro. At the beginning of the playoffs.
Culturally, if nothing else. But yes, we were. Those were probably the 2 best teams in the NFC last year.
Down in New Orleans, Baltimore, and Detroit.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
Oh my God.
I'm taking it to FanDuel.
The murder rate going back up that night. It don't matter who wins. The murder rate gonna skyrocket.
We've won 3 games with Dak. Okay, so I'm just saying we weren't playing well with Dak at all. I thought that basically we'd look better tonight without Dak. I thought we'd look better on offense than we looked without Dak. Seen Cooper play better than we played tonight. Philadelphia's got a lot to do with that. That's what it is.
So thank y'all for tuning in with us, catching up all things NFL. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. And like that, we out of here, man.